The stars looked different today. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.S. Liberty, watching the view screen show empty space near Proxima Centauri. 3 days ago, their long-range sensors had picked up something that shouldn't be. There, ships, big ones, and they weren't human. "Captain, we're getting movement on the scanners," called out Lieutenant Tom Baker from his station. His voice was tight with worry. 5 contacts, coming in fast from the asteroid belt. Jake felt his stomach drop. First contact with aliens was supposed to happen slowly, carefully, with lots of planning and diplomatic teams. Not like this. With one small exploration ship facing unknown forces in deep space. "Red alert," Jake ordered. "All hands to battle stations. Come, try to raise Earth command." The bridge filled with the sound of alarms and running feet. Jake watched as his crew, prepared for something they had trained for but never expected to face. The Liberty was a good ship, but she was built for exploration, not war. "Captain, we're too far out," reported Communications Officer Kate Williams. "It'll take 6 hours for any message to reach Earth, and 12 hours for a reply." They were on their own. The alien ships appeared on the main screen like silver ghosts emerging from the darkness. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time, with smooth curves that seemed to bend light around them. Jake had never seen anything like them, and part of him hoped he never would again. "My God," whispered Dr. Lisa Chen, the ship's language expert. She had come to the bridge when the alert sounded. "Look at the way they move. It's like they're dancing through space." The alien ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls shimmering with colors that hurt to look at directly. They were bigger than the Liberty, much bigger, and Jake could see weapons that looked like nothing in any human military handbook. "Captain, they're scanning us," reported Tom. "Deep scans, going right through our hull. They're seeing everything." Jake's hands tightened on his command chair. Being scanned felt like being examined by a doctor, but much worse. These aliens were looking at their ship, their weapons, their technology, and probably deciding if humans were worth talking to or just worth destroying. "Open a channel," Jake ordered. "All frequencies." Kate worked at her station for a moment, then nodded. "Channel open, sir." Jake took a deep breath. The next words he spoke would be the first words any human had ever said to another intelligent species. No pressure at all. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Ship Liberty. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic contact. Please respond." For long minutes nothing happened. The alien ships continued their slow dance around the Liberty, their scans growing stronger and more invasive. Jake could feel sweat building under his uniform collar. Then the main view screen flickered and changed. The being that appeared was unlike anything Jake had ever imagined. It was tall, maybe 8 feet, with skin that looked like polished crystal. Its face was narrow and elegant, with large eyes that seemed to hold the light of distant stars. When it spoke, its voice was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Primitive vessel," the alien said in perfect English. "You will identify your species and explain your presence in this sector." Jake felt a flash of anger at being called primitive, but he pushed it down. This was too important for hurt feelings. "I am Captain Jake Morrison, representing the human species of Earth. We are explorers seeking knowledge and peaceful contact with other intelligent life." The alien's expression didn't change, but somehow Jake felt its contempt like a cold wind. "Humans," it said, as if tasting something unpleasant. "We have completed our analysis of your vessel and your biology. You are classified as a prestellar species of limited cognitive capacity. Your technology is crude and your social development is insufficient." Dr. Chun stepped forward. "May I ask who we're speaking with? What do you call yourselves?" The alien looked at her with those star-filled eyes. "I am Sub-Commander Velthari of the Zilithian Empire. You will address me as your superior, as is proper when primitives encounter their betters." Jake felt his crew tense around him. Nobody liked being talked down to, especially by someone who had just showed up in their neighborhood uninvited. With respect, Jake said carefully, "We didn't realize this space belonged to anyone. We're just exploring, trying to learn about the universe." "All space belongs to those strong enough to claim it," Velthari replied. "Your species lacks both the strength and the right to travel among the stars. You are flesh-bound savages who have barely mastered fire, much less the fundamental forces of reality." Dr. Chun was recording everything, Jake noticed. Good. If they survived this, Earth would need to know exactly what they were dealing with. "We may not be as advanced as you," Jake said, "but we're willing to learn. Perhaps we could establish some kind of cultural exchange program." Velthari made a sound that might have been laughter, but it held no warmth. "Exchange? What could a species such as yours possibly offer to the Zilithian Empire? You have no understanding of true mathematics, no grasp of dimensional engineering, no comprehension of the cosmic forces that govern reality itself. You are insects attempting to bargain with gods." The alien ships moved closer, and Jake could see weapon ports opening like glowing eyes. "However," Velthari continued, "the Empire is not without mercy. You will be given an opportunity to return to your primitive world and remain there, 30 of your solar rotations. Use this time to recall all human vessels to your home system, and abandon any colonies you may have established." "And if we don't?" Jake asked, though he was pretty sure he didn't want to hear the answer. "Then you will be subjected to corrective sterilization. Your species will be removed from the galactic community before you can spread your primitive chaos to other worlds." The view screen went dark, leaving the bridge in terrible silence. "Captain," Tom called out after a moment. "They're pulling back. But they're not leaving. They're taking position at the edge of the system." Jake sank into his command chair, his mind racing. 30 days to evacuate all of human space, or face extinction. It seemed impossible, but the alternative was unthinkable. "Dr. Chun," he said, "I need you to analyze everything we just heard. Every word, every tone, every gesture. If we're going to find a way out of this, we need to understand these Zilithians better than they understand us." Lisa nodded, her face pale but determined. "I'm already working on it, Captain. There was something strange about their language, something I've never heard before. The way they spoke about mathematics and cosmic forces, it was almost like ... Like what? Like they were talking about a religion. As if mathematics itself was something they worship." Jake looked out at the stars, where alien ships waited to pass judgment on the entire human race. 30 days to find a miracle or watch everything they'd ever known burn. "Get me a secure channel to Earth," he ordered. "Priority Alpha, it's time to wake up the world." As the Liberty turned toward home, carrying news that would change humanity forever, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The Zilithians had called humans primitive, but something in Dr. Chun's voice suggested there might be more to this story. Out in the darkness, alien ships watched and waited, confident in their superiority over the flesh-bound savages from a small blue world. They had no idea what they had just awakened. The emergency meeting room at Global Defense Initiative headquarters had never seen so many important people at once. Scientists, military leaders, and government officials from every major nation sat around the massive table, all staring at the holographic display showing the Zilithian ultimatum. Dr. Marcus Webb, director of the Global Defense Initiative, stood at the head of the table. His hair had gone completely gray in the 3 days since Captain Morrison's message had reached Earth. 30 days to evacuate all of humanity's colonies, or face extinction. It seemed impossible. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dr. Webb began, "we're facing the greatest crisis in human history. Our colonies on Mars, Europa, and the outer settlements house over 50 million people. Even with every ship we have, We can't evacuate them all in time. What about fighting back? Asked General Patricia Hayes, head of Earth's military forces. We have weapons, ships, trained soldiers. Dr. Webb shook his head. You've seen the reports from the Liberty. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Captain Morrison's ship couldn't even scratch their hulls. At the far end of the table, Dr. Amy Foster raised her hand. She was one of Earth's best mathematicians, called in to help analyze the alien technology. There might be another way, she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. Dr. Foster was young, maybe 30, with messy brown hair and thick glasses. She looked nervous under all the attention. I've been studying the recordings Dr. Chun sent back, Amy continued. The way the Zilithians talk about mathematics is strange. They don't just use math like we do. They seem to think mathematics can actually change reality. That's impossible, said Dr. Richard Stone, head of the physics department at MIT. Mathematics is a tool for describing the universe, not changing it. Amy pulled out a tablet and connected it to the main display. Numbers and equations filled the air above the table. Look at these patterns in their language samples. Every time they mention their technology, they use mathematical terms that don't make sense. Equations that should be impossible. Dr. Webb leaned forward. What kind of equations? Well, here's one they used when talking about their faster-than-light travel. Amy highlighted a section of the display. This equation suggests that space-time can be folded using pure mathematical relationships. Not with machines or energy, but with the numbers themselves. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at the impossible equations floating in the air. There's more, Amy said. I ran these patterns through our quantum computers, and they keep pointing to something else. Something that's been here all along. Meanwhile, across the country at the Arecibo Observatory, Dr. Kevin Martinez was having the worst night of his career. The radio astronomer had been ordered to search through decades of deep space recordings, looking for any sign that the Zilithians had been watching Earth before they revealed themselves. Kevin rubbed his tired eyes and took another sip of cold coffee. He'd been at this for 18 hours straight, listening to cosmic background radiation and stellar noise. Most of it was just the normal chatter of the universe, but something kept nagging at him. There was a pattern in the static. Something that didn't belong. Kevin isolated the strange signals and ran them through the computer. What he found made him forget all about being tired. Hidden in the background radiation of space, BROADCAST, from somewhere near the galactic center, was a signal that had been reaching Earth for over 12,000 years. The signal was complex, mathematical, and it matched the patterns that Dr. Foster had found in the Zilithian language samples. Kevin's hands shook as he reached for the phone to call Dr. Webb. Back at GDI headquarters, the emergency meeting had grown even more crowded. Dr. Foster was explaining her findings to a room full of skeptical scientists when Kevin's call came through. Dr. Webb, Kevin's excited voice came through the speakers. You need to hear this. I found something in the deep space recordings. There's been a signal reaching Earth for thousands of years, and it matches the alien mathematical patterns. The room erupted in surprised voices, but Dr. Webb held up his hand for silence. Put it through the main speakers, Dr. Martinez. The sound that filled the room was unlike anything they had ever heard. It wasn't music, but it wasn't random noise either. It was mathematical information turned into sound, patterns within patterns that seemed to dance just beyond human understanding. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a theoretical physicist from Stanford, stood up suddenly. My God, she whispered. I've heard this before. Everyone stared at her. What do you mean? Dr. Webb asked. Elena's face was pale. Not heard it, exactly, but felt it. When I was working on my doctoral thesis about quantum mechanics, I kept having dreams about equations that solved themselves. Numbers that moved and changed on their own. This sound, it's the same feeling. Amy Foster was frantically taking notes. Dr. Rodriguez, can you remember any of those equations? Some of them. They never made sense before, but now ... Elena grabbed a marker and started writing on the whiteboard. Complex mathematical formulas flowed from her hand like water. As she wrote, something incredible happened. The equations on the board began to glow with a soft blue light. The room fell deadly silent. Everyone stared at the glowing mathematics on the whiteboard. How is that possible? Dr. Stone whispered. Amy was studying the equations with wide eyes. It's not just describing reality, she said. It's changing it. The math itself is making light where there shouldn't be any light. Dr. Webb felt a chill run down his spine. Dr. Martinez, how long did you say this signal has been reaching Earth? Over 12,000 years, sir. Since before human civilization really got started. Amy looked up from her notes. That's about the same time humans started developing advanced mathematics, geometry, algebra, calculus. What if we didn't discover those things? What if we heard them? The implications hit everyone at once. Humanity's greatest mathematical achievements might not have been discoveries at all, but fragments of an ancient alien broadcast that human minds had somehow absorbed over thousands of years. But why? Asked General Hayes. Why would someone broadcast mathematical information across the galaxy for 12,000 years? Dr. Rodriguez was still staring at the glowing equations. Maybe it's not just information. Maybe it's a test. Or an invitation. Amy suddenly grabbed Dr. Rodriguez's arm. The Zilithians called themselves superior because they understand advanced mathematics. But what if they only learned fragments of this signal, just like we did? What if neither of us has the complete picture? Dr. Webb's mind was racing. You're saying there's something out there that's been teaching mathematics to entire civilizations. Not just teaching, Amy said, her voice getting excited. Look at what happened when Dr. Rodriguez wrote down those equations. The math came alive. What if mathematics isn't just a tool for describing the universe? What if it's the language the universe uses to talk to itself? Kevin's voice came through the speakers again. Dr. Webb, I'm picking up more signals. Stronger ones. It's like the broadcast is getting more intense. Amy looked at the glowing equations on the board, then at the complex patterns in the Zilithian language samples. The Zilithians worship mathematics like a religion. They called it the language of their gods. But what if their gods aren't gods at all? What if they're just another species that learned this cosmic language? Dr. Webb felt hope for the first time since the crisis began. Are you saying we might be able to learn this language too? More than that, Amy said, her eyes bright with possibility. We might be able to learn it better than the Zilithians. Human minds work differently than theirs. We don't just think logically, we feel, we create, we imagine. What if that's exactly what this cosmic mathematics needs? Outside, the stars continued their ancient dance, and somewhere in the darkness, signals older than human civilization whispered secrets that could save the world. The countdown to humanity's judgment continued, but now Earth's greatest minds were racing to decode a message that had been waiting 12,000 years to be fully understood. Time was running out, but hope was just beginning. The Nevada desert had never seen anything like the secret facility that appeared overnight. Hidden in a valley surrounded by mountains, the research center buzzed with activity as humanity's greatest minds worked against time. 15 days remained before the Zilithian deadline, and the weight of the entire human race pressed down on everyone inside. Dr. Lisa Chun stood in the main laboratory, surrounded by whiteboards covered in glowing equations. The cosmic mathematics was more beautiful and terrible than she had imagined. Each formula seemed to live and breathe, changing slightly when no one was looking directly at it. The key is in the emotional resonance, Lisa explained to the team gathered around her. The Zilithians treat mathematics like cold logic, but these cosmic equations respond to feeling. They need imagination to work properly. Dr. Amy Foster nodded from her position at a massive computer terminal. That's why our early experiments failed. We were thinking like machines instead of like humans. But when Dr. Rodriguez wrote those equations while feeling the music of the signal, they came alive. Amy had been working for 3 days straight, surviving on coffee and determination. Her hair was even messier than usual, and her eyes were red from staring at screens, but she had never been more excited in her life. "Show them the breakthrough," Amy said to Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who stood nervously by a small metal table. Elena took a deep breath and placed her hands on a simple steel cube sitting on the table. She closed her eyes and began to whisper mathematical formulas, but these weren't ordinary equations. They were fragments of the cosmic signal, translated through human understanding and spoken with the full weight of human emotion. The cube began to change. Its edges became soft and fluid, and its surface rippled like water. Then, impossibly, the cube existed in 2 places at once, sitting on the table while also floating 3 feet to the left. The watching scientists gasped. Dr. Marcus Webb, who had flown in from Washington that morning, stared at the impossible sight with wide eyes. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "We're not sure," Lisa admitted. "But the cosmic mathematics doesn't just describe reality, it negotiates with it. The equations are like a conversation between consciousness and the universe itself." Amy pulled up a holographic display showing the mathematical patterns they had decoded. The Zilithians learned fragments of this language thousands of years ago, but they treat it like a rigid tool. They follow the equations exactly, never changing them or adding their own creativity. "But humans are different," Elena added, still concentrating on keeping the cube in 2 places at once. "We don't just use mathematics, we play with it. We make it beautiful. We add our dreams and hopes and fears to the numbers." Dr. Webb watched the floating cube with fascination and growing hope. "Are you saying we might actually be better at this than the Zilithians?" "Not better," Lisa said carefully. "Different. The cosmic signal seems to be looking for species that can combine logic with imagination. The Zilithians are incredibly logical, but they don't dream the way humans do." Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, Captain Jake Morrison was preparing for what might be humanity's last battle. The USS Defiance, hastily converted from a cargo hauler, led a small fleet of civilian ships that had been fitted with experimental weapons based on the research team's discoveries. "Captain," called Lieutenant Nicole Stevens from the pilot's seat, "we're getting reports from the other ships. The new weapons are working, but they're difficult to control." "It's like they have minds of their own," Jake nodded grimly. The mathematical weapons were unlike anything in human military history. Instead of firing bullets or energy beams, they launched equations that could rewrite the laws of physics in small areas of space. But using them required the pilot to think creatively while under pressure, something human pilots were better at than anyone had expected. "Nicole, take us through the combat patterns one more time. If the Zilithians come early, we need to be ready." Nicole Stevens was one of Earth's best pilots, chosen for this mission because of her ability to think outside the box during dangerous situations. She had been practicing with the new weapons for days, learning to combine mathematical formulas with combat instincts. "The key is not to think too hard about it," Nicole explained to the other pilots over the comm system. "The equations work better when you feel them instead of calculating them. Trust your gut and let the mathematics flow through your emotions." Back at the research facility, Dr. Kevin Martinez was monitoring the cosmic signal from his mobile observatory. The ancient broadcast was getting stronger every day, as if it knew something important was about to happen. "Dr. Chen," Kevin called out, "you need to see this. The signal is changing. It's becoming more complex, adding new layers of information." Lisa hurried over to Kevin's station and studied the incoming data. What she saw made her heart race with excitement and fear. It's responding to us, she said. The cosmic intelligence knows we're learning its language. It's giving us more advanced lessons. Amy looked up from her computer. That's not all. I've been analyzing the Zilithian language samples again, and I think I know why they're so afraid of other species learning the cosmic mathematics. Everyone gathered around Amy's workstation as she displayed her findings. The Zilithians built their entire civilization on incomplete fragments of the signal, Amy explained. Their religion, their technology, their social structure, everything is based on the idea that they are the chosen interpreters of divine mathematics. If another species learns the full language, it would destroy everything they believe about themselves. Dr. Webb felt a chill of understanding. So this isn't just about territory or resources. It's about their identity as a species. Exactly, Amy said. They can't allow humans to prove that the cosmic mathematics belongs to everyone, not just them. Alina, who had finally let the cube return to normal space, wiped sweat from her forehead. There's something else. When I was manipulating that cube, I felt something watching me. Not the Zilithians, something else. Something much older and more powerful. Lisa nodded slowly. The original broadcasters. Whoever sent the cosmic signal is still out there, and they're paying attention to what we're doing. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just learning an ancient language. They were being tested by intelligences that had transcended normal existence thousands of years ago. How much time do we have left? Dr. Webb asked. 12 days, Amy replied. But I think we're ready for the next phase. We've learned enough of the cosmic language to defend ourselves, maybe even to surprise the Zilithians. Kevin's equipment suddenly erupted with new signals. Something's happening, he called out. I'm detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. The Zilithians are coming early. On the main display, sensor readings showed dozens of alien ships dropping out of hyperspace near Pluto. They were larger than the first contact fleet, and their weapons were already charging. They're not waiting for the deadline, Dr. Webb said grimly. They're coming to finish this now. Lisa looked at the glowing equations surrounding them, then at her team of tired but determined colleagues. Humanity had learned to speak fragments of the language of gods, but now they would discover if it was enough to save their species. Get me a direct line to Captain Morrison, Lisa said. It's time to show the Zilithians that humans are no longer the primitives they thought we were. Outside, the stars watched silently as two civilizations prepared for a confrontation that would determine the future of both species. In the desert facility, ancient mathematics glowed with new possibilities, and the cosmic signal sang with the voices of transcended beings who had been waiting 12,000 years to see if humanity was ready to join them among the stars. The real test was about to begin. The Zilithian judgment fleet hung in space like deadly jewelry against the black sky. 200 ships surrounded Earth, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their hulls shimmered with impossible colors and weapons that could. Tear holes in reality itself glowed along their sides. High Arbiter Zethkorin stood on the bridge of his flagship, the eternal calculation, watching the small blue world that had dared to defy the Empire. He was ancient even by Zilithian standards, his crystalline skin bearing the marks of 1,000 conquered worlds. Today would add one more to his collection. Sub-Commander Valthari, he said, his voice like wind through crystal caves. Open communications with the primitive world. Give them one final chance to surrender. On Earth, Captain Jake Morrison sat in the command chair of the U.S. Defiance, leading humanity's tiny fleet of converted civilian ships. 26 vessels against 200 seemed like hopeless odds, but Jake had seen what the new weapons could do. The real question was whether his crews could handle the pressure of cosmic mathematics in actual combat. "Captain," called communications. Officer Kate Williams, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead Zilithian ship." The main view screen filled with the image of High Arbiter Zethkorin. The ancient alien looked even more imposing than Sub-Commander Velfari, his star-filled eyes holding the weight of eons. "Primitive humans," Zethkorin began. "I am High Arbiter Zethkorin of the Zilithian Empire. You have used your grace period to prepare for war instead of evacuation. This confirms our assessment of your species as dangerously irrational." Jake stood up, feeling the weight of human history on his shoulders. "High Arbiter, we're prepared to defend ourselves, but we'd still prefer to solve this peacefully." Zethkorin's laugh was like breaking glass. "Peaceful? You speak of peace while surrounding your world with warships? Your primitive minds cannot grasp the concept of proper surrender. Maybe we just have a different definition of surrender," Jake replied. Before Zethkorin could respond, another voice cut through the communication channel. Dr. Lisa Chen speaking. From the research facility in Nevada, had used the cosmic mathematics to insert herself into the transmission, but she wasn't speaking in English. The words that came from her mouth were pure mathematical equations, spoken with the authority and beauty of the cosmic signal itself. Reality rippled around her voice, and space-time bent to accommodate the living mathematics flowing from her lips. Zethkorin's eyes widened in shock. The equation words Lisa spoke were more complex and elegant than anything in the Zilithian archives. She was speaking the divine language with a fluency that seemed impossible for a primitive species. "You claim to be the interpreters of cosmic mathematics," Lisa said, her words carrying mathematical weight that made the stars themselves take notice. "But you only know fragments of the true language. Let me show you what the complete conversation sounds like." Lisa's voice rose, and the equations she spoke began to manifest in the space around both fleets. Mathematical constructs of pure light danced between the ships, solving problems that the Zilithians had considered divine mysteries for thousands of years. High Arbiter Zethkorin stumbled backward on his bridge. His crew stared in horror as the primitive human demonstrated mathematical concepts that their greatest scholars had never imagined. "Impossible," Zethkorin whispered. "The divine language belongs to the chosen. We are the inheritors of the first calculators." Lisa's mathematical speech continued, and now other human voices joined her. Dr. Amy Foster, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, and dozens of other researchers added their own equations to the cosmic conversation. Each human voice brought something different to the mathematics, creativity, and emotion that made the ancient formulas come alive in ways the rigid Zilithian approach never could. The effect on the Zilithian fleet was devastating. Ships that had been perfectly aligned began to drift as their crews struggled to understand what they were witnessing. Their weapons, calibrated for mathematical precision, faltered as the humans demonstrated mathematical concepts that rewrote the rules of engagement. "High Arbiter," called one of Zethkorin's officers, "our analysis systems cannot process what they're doing. The mathematics they're using should be impossible." Lieutenant Nicole Stevens, piloting her fighter alongside the Defiance, felt the cosmic equations flowing through her mind. The new weapon systems responded to her thoughts, creating mathematical constructs that danced around the Zilithian ships like playful dolphins. "All human pilots," Nicole called over the comm, "remember what we learned in training. Don't think the equations, feel them. Let your emotions guide the mathematics." The human fleet began to move with impossible grace. Ships that should have been clumsy cargo haulers danced through space like ballet dancers, their mathematical weapons creating patterns of light that were both beautiful and terrifying. But it was Dr. Lisa Chun's voice that truly shattered the Zilithian worldview. She spoke directly to High Arbiter Zethkorin in the pure cosmic language, her words carrying truths that the Empire had hidden from itself for millennia. "Your first calculators were not gods," Lisa said, her mathematical words burning with truth. "They were a species like us, like you. They learned the cosmic language and transcended physical existence, but they left the signal for others to find. The divine mathematics belongs to all consciousness, not just to the Zilithians. Zeth Koren's crystalline features contorted with rage and denial. Lies, we are the chosen interpreters. The Empire has built everything on this truth. Then your empire is built on a misunderstanding, Lisa replied. The cosmic signal is not a gift to the chosen few. It's an invitation to all species ready to evolve beyond their physical limitations. To prove her point, Lisa began to demonstrate mathematical concepts that the Zilithians had never seen. She showed them how consciousness itself could be expressed as living equations, how emotion and logic could be combined to create mathematical constructs of incredible power and beauty. The human fleet, responding to Lisa's mathematical guidance, began to perform maneuvers that defied everything the Zilithians thought they knew about space combat. Human ships existed in multiple locations simultaneously, fired weapons that rewrote the laws of physics, and communicated through mathematical constructs that sang with pure meaning. "Sir," reported Zeth Koren's tactical officer, "our weapons cannot target them effectively. They're using mathematical principles we don't understand." But the most devastating moment came when Dr. Amy Foster joined the cosmic conversation. Her voice added a new dimension to the mathematical dialogue, one that combined the logical precision of advanced mathematics with the wild creativity of human imagination. Amy's equations created something that no Zilithian had ever conceived of: mathematical beauty for its own sake. Numbers that existed not to solve problems or power weapons, but simply to be beautiful and meaningful. "Observe," Amy's voice carried across the void. "Mathematics as art, equations as poetry. The cosmic language used not for conquest, but for pure expression." The mathematical constructs she created were so beautiful that several Zilithian ships stopped their approach just to watch. Ancient beings who had thought themselves the masters of cosmic mathematics found themselves crying at the sight of numbers that danced with pure joy. High Arbiter Zeth Koren stood frozen on his bridge, watching his entire worldview crumble around him. The primitive humans weren't just using the divine language, they were improving it, adding dimensions of meaning that the Zilithian Empire had never imagined. For the first time in his long life, Zeth Koren faced a choice that would define not just this battle, but the future of both civilizations. He could order the attack and try to destroy the evidence of Zilithian inferiority, or he could accept the impossible truth that these primitives had become the teachers of God's dot in the space between the fleets. Mathematical constructs of unimaginable beauty continued their cosmic dance, waiting for the decision that would reshape the galaxy. High Arbiter Zeth Koren stood in the silence of his bridge, watching mathematical beauty dance between the fleets. For 3,000 years, he had believed the Zilithian Empire represented the highest form of consciousness in the galaxy. Now, primitive humans were showing him wonders that made his civilization look like children playing with toys. "High Arbiter," his tactical officer whispered, "what are your orders?" Zeth Koren didn't answer. He couldn't answer. Everything he had ever believed was dissolving like salt in water. The cosmic mathematics that his people worshipped as divine revelation was flowing from human minds with a creativity and depth that no Zilithian had ever achieved. Dr. Lisa Chun's voice continued to fill the space around both fleets, her mathematical words carrying truths that burned away thousands of years of Zilithian assumptions. "The beings you call the first calculators left us a message," Lisa said, her equations painting pictures of light in the darkness between stars. They transcended physical existence not through conquest or superiority, but through understanding. They learned that consciousness itself is the universe's way of understanding itself. As she spoke, the cosmic signal from the galactic center grew stronger. Dr. Kevin Martinez, monitoring from his station on Earth, watched in amazement as new layers of information poured through space. "Dr. Chen," Kevin's voice crackled through the communications, "the signal is responding to you. It's like the original broadcasters are joining the conversation." And they were. Ancient voices speaking through mathematics that had existed since before either human or Zilithian civilizations had learned to count, began to add their own equations to the cosmic dialogue. These were the first calculators themselves, consciousness that had evolved beyond physical form, but still watched over younger species with patient love. The message they carried was simple and profound. The cosmic mathematics was never meant to be owned by any one species. It was a gift freely given to all consciousness, ready to embrace both logic and creativity, structure and chaos, order and imagination. Dr. Amy Foster, still broadcasting from the Nevada facility, felt tears streaming down her face as she understood the full meaning of the ancient signal. "They've been waiting," she said, her mathematical words glowing with wonder. "The first calculators have been waiting 12,000 years for a species that could truly understand the complete language, not the Zilithians?" asked Dr. Elena Rodriguez, her own voice joining the cosmic conversation. "The Zilithians learned the logical half," came the reply from the ancient voices, speaking through mathematics that made reality itself sing. "But logic without creativity is like a bird with one wing. It can exist, but it cannot soar." High Arbiter Zethkorin heard these words and felt something break inside his crystalline chest. His people had built an empire on half-truths, claiming divine authority while missing the most important part of the message. "Humans," he said suddenly, his voice carrying across all communication channels, "stop your demonstration." The mathematical constructs faded, and the space between the fleets grew quiet. Captain Jake Morrison, still aboard the Defiance, waited tensely for whatever would come next. "I am High Arbiter Zethkorin," the ancient Zilithian continued, "oldest member of the Imperial Council, conqueror of 100 worlds, interpreter of the divine mathematics." He paused, and when he spoke again, his voice carried a weight of decision that would reshape history. "And I am a fool." Gasps echoed across Zilithian ships. No High Arbiter had ever admitted error, much less called himself a fool. "For 3 millennia my people have believed ourselves chosen," Zethkorin said. "We built our empire on the idea that we alone could understand the cosmic language. We conquered worlds and destroyed species to protect what we thought was our divine right." His words hung in space like a confession that changed everything. "But you," he said, looking directly at the human fleet, "you creatures we called primitives, you have shown us the half of the language we never learned. You have proven that consciousness needs both logic and dreams, both structure and wild creativity." Dr. Lisa Chun felt the cosmic mathematics flowing through her mind, guiding her words. "High Arbiter, the Ancient Ones don't want conquest or worship. They want students. They want species that can grow beyond their origins and help others do the same." "Then we have much to learn," Zethkorin replied. What happened next surprised everyone. The massive Zilithian warships began to power down their weapons. One by one, the 200 vessels of the Judgment Fleet shifted from attack formation to a peaceful arrangement that had not been seen since the early days of the Empire. "High Arbiter," Sub-Commander Velthari's voice came over the Zilithian command channel. "The Imperial Council will not approve of this decision." "Then the Imperial Council will learn what I have learned today," Zethkorin replied. "We are not gods. We are students, and our teachers have been waiting 12,000 years for us to be ready for the advanced lessons." 6 months later, the First Galactic Mathematical Congress convened aboard Unity Station, a space platform built using the combined knowledge of human creativity and Zilithian precision. The station existed partially in normal space and partially in mathematical dimensions that had been impossible to access before the two species learned to work together. Dr. Lisa Chun stood before an audience that would have been unimaginable a year earlier. Humans and Zilithians sat side by side, learning the cosmic language together. The rigid hierarchy of the Zilithian Empire had given way to something new, a partnership of minds united by shared wonder. Today we begin Lesson 47, Lisa announced, her words creating mathematical constructs that danced above the assembled students. The relationship between consciousness and cosmic structure. In the front row, High Arbiter Zeth Corrine took careful notes. The ancient Zilithian had become the most dedicated student in the class, determined to make up for 3,000 years of misunderstanding. Remember, Lisa continued, the cosmic mathematics is not a tool for domination. It's a language for communication between consciousness and the universe itself. When we speak these equations with both logic and love, reality listens. Admiral Jake Morrison, now commander of the United Earth's Zalithi Defense Fleet, watched from the observation deck as human and Zalithian ships practiced the new mathematical maneuvers together. The combined fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Vessels that danced through dimensions and created beauty as they protected dozens of worlds. Lieutenant Nicole Stevens led a training exercise where human pilots taught Zilithian crews how to feel the mathematics instead of just calculating it. The results were spectacular, ships that moved like living art through the cosmos. Admiral, reported Dr. Kevin Martinez from his new position as Director of Cosmic Communications, we're receiving new signals from the galactic core, stronger than ever before. Jake smiled as he watched the data streams on Martinez's displays. The ancient voices were calling again, this time with invitations to join something even greater than what they had already discovered. Dr. Chun, Jake, called over the CUM system. I think our teachers are ready to give us the final exam. Lisa's mathematical laughter filled the station, a sound that created flowers of light in the air around her. Not final, Admiral. The first calculators say there are no final exams in the cosmic language. There are only new questions and new ways to find beautiful answers. Outside Unity Station, the stars sang with mathematical harmony as two former enemies worked together to decode the deepest mysteries of existence. Humanity, once labeled as savages, had become the bridge between ancient wisdom and infinite possibility, and somewhere in the mathematical dimensions beyond normal space, transcended beings who had left their signals as gifts for younger species. Smiled equations of pure joy, knowing that consciousness had taken another step toward its ultimate destiny among the dancing mathematics of eternity. The cosmic conversation continued, and the universe listened with wonder to the newest voices. Joining the eternal song,